Hey there, welcome back to Cooking with Violet Vixen. Tonight we are making pie for dinner and it is chicken, mushroom and leek puff pie. Here's what we need. So I've been busy slicing and weighing and mandolin slicing and everything. So come on in, I'll show you what we need. Okay, so first of all we need 2 large chicken breast fillets chopped into large pieces. I've just washed those. 25 grams of butter cubed. I haven't cubed it, but it's been out of the fridge for a while. It's not super hot anymore either, by the way. 2 leeks washed and finely sliced. That's those ones there. I've just got to quickly wash them. I popped those through the mandolin slicer, which is a great invention, but watch your fingers because it's very sharp. 2 tablespoons of fresh thyme leaves. There's a way of getting those off. You actually hold the stem up and you just sort of get your nails, which I don't have any nails after working for a few days, and you just pull them down and the leaves just come off. But I got tired of doing that, so what's going in the freezer is going to be half and half leaves and half sprigs, because sometimes in recipes it will tell you to put a sprig of thyme in, which is obviously just so that you can pull the whole thing out at the end of the recipe. And if you've only got leaves, that's going to be very hard to do. So they're going in the freezer. So that's what I do if I need fresh ones. And then I've got them for later when I need them. They'll keep for forever practically in the freezer. I'm proof of that. 225 grams of mushrooms sliced. Now, quite a while ago, I got an excess of mushrooms when I ordered them. These are really small ones, so I'm not going to worry about cutting those up because by the time I cut them up, I'll be asleep. 1 garlic clove crushed. I've got 2 small ones, so I'm going to use the 2 small ones. 200 grams of cream cheese chopped. Now, I've got the one that's the spreadable one, and I've just weighed out the 200 grams. So there's 50 grams left over. That's nice on biscuits or something like that. 1.5 sheets of puff pastry thawed. I'm only using 1 sheet of puff pastry. When I go through what we're doing, I'll explain as to why they tell you need an extra half a sheet, but if you leave it out long enough, you can actually get away with just 1 sheet. 1 egg beaten with a pinch of salt. So I had to laugh because I had this image of an egg being beaten up by some salt, but it's not true. I just put the salt in there and then beat it up, so good to know. Now, we also need a pie dish. Oven on 220, which is very hot, so I'm just leaving mine on 200. And we need a large frying pan. We'll also need a bowl as well. So, now that you know what we're doing, come on over to the stovetop and we're going to get going. Let's get frying. So that's my pie dish in the background. It's called the apple pie dish, but it's the best dish for cooking pies. Obviously, it's designed for it. So what we're going to do is spray your frying pan. I'm just using the wok because a couple of times when I've gone to use a frying pan, I found it's not big enough, and therefore I figured just doing it this way would be easier. So guess half of the butter and chuck that in. Now we want this on high heat, so we'll crank it up to 6. Don't forget your stirring stick as well. When the butter is melted, we're going to add the chicken, leeks and thyme. So I'm just going to quickly wash the leek. I think I did wash the leek, I can't remember. I've washed it now anyway, so I can't get in trouble. Alright, I'm going to bring over the chicken, which I've washed, and chuck that in. This one's probably going to take a while to heat through, so it can melt with the butter. Alright, in it goes. We'll bring the leek over as well. You can see why I said to use a large frying pan now. I got stuck last time doing something, I can't remember which recipe it was, and I basically ended up having to take it out of the frying pan into the saucepan, and therefore it led to more washing up. So I don't want to ever do that again in a hurry. So my theory is just go with a bigger frying pan, and then you can't go wrong. All right, so in is the leek and the chicken. We're just going to toss that about. See, even that's pretty full. Now, the last thing that's going in with this is that thyme that I was talking about. Now, that's 2 tablespoons of thyme leaves. There may be a little bit of not thyme leaves in there, but I've done pretty good though. All right. So, I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, so after about 5 minutes, you'll start to see that the leeks are really wilting down. Your chicken's gone white, and you'll see a lot of juice in here. So what you really need to do when it comes to getting this out, we don't want any liquid left over. So we're going to get a slotted spoon to get everything out, so we can keep this liquid in here. Just make sure the chicken's not cooked, but not pink on any sides. We do want it cooked, but we're not cooking it right through, if that makes any sense at all. Okay, so we're going to grab, slotted spoon is the best, as I said, so we can retain that liquid. Because next up is the garlic, the rest of the butter, and the mushrooms. So we've also almost made a bit of a poaching liquid here, which is good, because that will poach that chicken. You don't want your chicken too small. Don't be tempted to cut it really small. We'll pop it all back in at the end. Okay, so if you've left a little bit in there, fear not. Okay, that's poaching away beautifully. All right, chuck the rest of the butter in. Grab the mushrooms, which, as I say, cut up if you want, or just leave whole. I'm leaving them whole because they will go very small. And you want your garlic. So the only things you should have left are your sheet of puff pastry, your cream cheese, and your egg. Alright, in goes that garlic. So we don't want to cook this for too long. Alright. Okay, after about 5 minutes, we want to put everything back in. I'm doing this a little bit of a different way because we've got to put it all into the bowl. But what I want to do is mix it all in. And I want to try and boil off that liquid too. Because we do not want that liquid in our pie. Unless it's going to thicken. Which it won't thicken. There we go. It'll boil out now because I haven't turned the heat down. You want to keep the heat really high with this one. Alright, so give it a couple of minutes and then back into that bowl. And when we go back into the bowl, what we want to do is we want to season it with salt and pepper. Cover it and allow it to cool. Now, if you're really pressed for time, one way to get it to cool is to actually put it in the freezer. which is what I'm going to do because I do want my dinner tonight, not tomorrow night. Okay, so I'm going to get this out now and just discard the liquid. We don't need the liquid unless we can maybe thicken it. But the thing is though, actually the cream cheese is going in, it will thicken it. So keep the liquid because it will make it into a bit of a sauce. So do not get rid of the liquid, okay? Do not. All right. So into the bowl, let's go. Okay, so everything's in the bowl. Grab your salt and pepper to season it. And then grab some cling wrap, pop it over it, and put it in the freezer for 10 minutes should be enough, and I'll see you then. Okay, so after 10 minutes of being in the freezer, it's not super cold, but it's no longer super hot as well, so we're somewhere in between. No, it's still hot. I'm going to go pop it back in for another 10 minutes, unfortunately. Once I put my finger in there, I just realised it's too hot, and if I have it too hot, it probably will go all munted, and I don't want that, so I'll be back. Okay, so if you're time poor, leave it at that. If you've got longer, I suggest you obviously do this. Start this maybe a little bit earlier so you've got a lot more time. So it's still a bit warm, but you got to think it's 20 minutes cooler than it was. Well, a little bit longer actually. So what we are going to do now is we're going to add the cream cheese and mix well. So we need, let's go with handy pink spatula, hey? Alright. Mush it up good. Mix it all in. So the cream cheese is actually going to thicken it, which was why I was contemplating not throwing out the liquid. Otherwise we would have just had a cream cheesy sort of thing. So it will actually thicken it. Alright. Pie making is not a 5-minute job. So I suggest you do this on a day when you've got a bit more time. Because even though it's supposed to be a quick recipe, it's not really a quick recipe. Alright. So we leave it at that. Okay, so bring over your pie plate. And what we want to do is give it a spray. And for you that have been watching, you'll know that I give everything a spray to make it easier to wash up. That stupidly doesn't go back on. Ah, there it goes. Alright, so in we go. Beautiful. That's pretty full. Try and spread the mixture out. Okay. Beautiful. It's very full. My suggestion is to actually get rid of some of the liquid. Just tip it out. The reason why I say to do that is it's only going to overflow and cause issues, so we don't need it. Alright, so just wipe the edge. Okay, so the reason why we was told to use 1.5 sheets of puff pastry was so that we could put an edge around it, which I'm not going to do. So I'm just going to use the one sheet, which is very thawed out by now. We'll pop this on here. And the reason why you use a tray is because if it overflows, you're not going to be having a messy oven. Okay, so grab your sheet of puff, which this is the last sheet of the packet, so it's a bit crap. Pop it on, and it's even stuck to the cardboard. Good for me. Okay. So unpeel it. Oh my goodness. Okay. It's sort of the end of the world, but it's not. Okay, now the good thing about it being like this is I can actually stretch it. So, normally I haven't been able to stretch pastry. So this is pretty exciting for me, I'm sure. Alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold it under. Okay, now we've got to chill this for 15 minutes. I don't really like the idea of putting it in the fridge and then getting it out, and the only reason is because I don't want my dish to crack. So I'm just going to let it rest for 15 minutes, and then when we come back, we're going to brush it with egg, which I'll just brush it with egg now. But the correct way to do it is to pop this in the fridge for 15 minutes. So we'll just imagine we've done that. Brush it with egg, which it just doesn't want to do. And we're going to cook this for 25 minutes at the 220 degrees. Now, I'm not cooking mine at 220 degrees. Yes, my oven does go to that, but I'll do mine at 200. So, in 15 minutes, out of the fridge, brush with the egg, and into the oven, 220 for 25 minutes, or until the pastry has risen and is golden brown. So, I will see you when we have a cooked pie. Okay, so I gave it 20 minutes. It looks perfect. It should be fine. So, thank you for watching Cooking with Violet Vixen. This has been chicken, mushroom, and leek puff pie. Enjoy, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!